All right. Let's look at separation techniques. If we have three states of matter, which is the liquid state, the gaseous, and the solids. Now, if you're looking at how can when we have substance that are mixed up, probably based on these three states. So how do we separate them? That is separation technique. So separation techniques is a method or methods used to separate components of mixtures based on differences in their physical properties such as size, solubility, density, boiling point, and magnetism. So, and if you look at separation techniques, that's a way of separating two or more mixtures. Now, mixtures can be in form of solid and liquid, can be in form of liquid and liquid, can be in form of gaseous and liquid. So, whatever the mixture is, it can still be separated. So let's look at the various separation techniques method. Then the first one is hand picking. Hand picking means what? Manual separation by hand. And this method is used to separate solid particles that are large and easily visible, like removing stone from rice or beans. You understand? So at least if you have a mixture of stones and rice or beans together, then you can easily pick up the stones from the beans or from the rice. That kind of method is called what? Hand picking method. That's the first one. Now let us move on to the next one, which is sieving. Sieving is used to separate a mixture of solids of different particle sizes. So when you have solids of different particle sizes, so you can actually use sieving. That is, one solid has a larger particle than the other. Then separation, maybe like probably separating sand from gravel, maybe like sieving garri to remove the lumps, remove the stones and other things. So those are sieving method. That is a mixture, a method used to separate mixture of solids of different sizes. So the lower one can pass through the sieve, then while the particles with the bigger size remains at the top or on the surface of the sieve. So using a sieve to separate this particle, and that's the second one. Then the third one is winnowing, that is using when you separate using wind or air. Probably one solid is lighter than the other. Like for example, separating chaff from grains. I don't know if you have seen people. Let's look at the local method. Like when these Igbo boys that sell food stuff, by the time they look at the direction of the wind, and they begin to bounce or to pour the beans. So before you know it, the chaff will be separated. That's winnowing. It's used for separating rice for rice, and for beans, remove the husk or remove the covering of solid particles. So that is winnowing. That's also a method of separation of two or more particles using air or wind, probably direction of wind. The magnetic separation. Magnetic separation is a little bit, it's just straightforward, because using a magnet to remove magnetic material, probably one component is magnetic, and the second complex is non-magnetic. Then the magnetic one, get attracted to the magnet, while the other ones remain. And for example, it is used to separate iron finely from sand. Then I saw in a question somebody said one of the jump pass question that says, how can you separate a mixture of sulfur and magnet and iron filings? Then iron filings is a magnetic material. It has magnet that can be magnetized by magnet, and sulfur cannot do that. So when you use this method, then the sulfur remains while the iron filings get attracted to the magnet. That is what magnetic separation. How about sedimentation? Sedimentation involves allowing heavier insoluble solids to settle at the bottom of the liquid. Example, probably when you have mud settling at the bottom of water, of dirty water, and I think that's one of the methods used to separate maybe like clean water from, it's settled at the bottom. That's sedimentation. So that one is also a method of separating insoluble solids from a liquid. Then what about decantation? The next one is decantation. Decantation is just careful pouring of the clear liquid from a settled solid. You allow the solution, or you allow the substance to settle, and you pour. It is best used to probably pouring water from muddy water. Then probably you have a solution of undissolved particles from a solution. So you allow the particles like probably stones, sand, anything to go down, then you pour. A very good example, like I used to tell my students, is in probably why you have a mixture of sand and water. By the time you stir, if you stir the solution, then you allow the sand to go down because it's denser. then while the liquid, so you just pour away. As you are pouring it away, what you are doing is simply decantation. And so let's look at filtration. Filtration is a method used to separate insoluble solid from liquids using a filter paper or a cloth or a white net. You understand? So when you have a medium like filter paper, then before you know it, if you pour the substance on the filter paper, the clear one goes down, that is the filtrate, while the undissolved particles stays at the top of filter paper or white cloth, and that is the residue. And this method is used to separate sand from water, or anything that is not, that the particles involved, particles that are in a solution that you want to remove. So you use that method, that's filtration method, and they use it probably in OGID. If you want to do PAP, they also use filtration method because they pour everything together and they use a white cloth. Then the clear solution pass through the white cloth. Then while the residue, which is the chaff, or which is the one that is not really useful, that the one they want to separate, it stays on top of the cloth. So that's the filtration. That's the method used to separate insoluble solid from liquid. Also, we look at evaporation. That is a method used to remove a solvent by heating, leaving the solid behind. So probably when you heat a solute to some levels, then heating to dryness. For example, when you evaporate to dryness, then the water leaves the material, the pot or the glassware, then it remains the crystals of the salt. It is used of obtaining salt from seawater, and also to produce sugar crystals from sugarcane. If you pour sugarcane liquid juice inside something, you begin to evaporate to dryness. At a time when all the water is being dried off, what you are going to be left with is the crystals of sugar. So that's evaporation, and evaporation to dryness. Then another one that is similar to that is crystallization. Crystallization obtaining pure solid crystal from a solution. You understand? That is to purify soluble solids. For example, producing sugar crystal from sugarcane. Evaporation to dryness can also be is something very close to crystallization, but crystallization is you obtain pure crystals from a solution. That's a dissolved solid present in a solution, so you can actually use it to separate them. So that is that. Then how about distillation? We look at distillation. Distillation is a method used to separate liquids based on their different boiling points. We have distillation like solvents used to recover a solvent from a solution. For example, like you can use to recover alcohol, which is a solvent, then from palm wine. That's an example. Separating water from salt solution. So you can use that based on that boiling point. So at a particular boiling point, the ethanol will be recovered from the palm wine. Yes, and if you look at probably 78% and 200%, so you can see the various boiling points, 78 and 100% are two different boiling points. So that's the distillation. The next one there, which is also the second part of distillation, is the fractional distillation. It is used to recover two or more miscible liquids from a solution according to their various boiling points. You understand? When you have a solution like crude oil, and you can actually recover so many other solvents from that based on their different boiling point. Then to recover from crude oil we can get petrol, from crude oil we can get kerosene, from crude oil we can get diesel, engine oil, other bitumen, lignin, ethers, all of them because all these products have their different boiling point, but they are all contained in one solution, which is the crude oil. And not only in crude oil that fractional distillation is applicable. Fractional distillation is also applicable in air. Air is a mixture of many gases like nitrogen, like oxygen, carbon dioxide. So if you want to, you can actually use the fractional distillation method to recover nitrogen from other. You can use this method to recover oxygen. That's 21% by volume of oxygen from other. You understand? So that is fractional distillation. That's a fraction when you have many things which are dissolved, soluble, and you want to recover them according to their boiling point. Then also we have separating funnel method used to separate immiscible liquids because of their different densities. Separating funnel is a method used to separate mixtures that can never mix, like kerosene and water, then oil from water, petrol and water. So all these mixtures, no matter how you mix them, they can never mix. So separating funnel method is used to separate them. So that's separating funnel method. What about chromatography? Chromatography is used to separate substance based on different movement rates on the medium, using a medium. The medium can be in form of paper, can be in form of just a medium that's a sheet, can be just something that there's a movement. So the solvents are recovered based on the movement. It is used for probably color substances, maybe like separation of colors, separation of dyes in food, coloring, and others are based on the movement, because the movement of the solvent or the materials inside the medium. So that's chromatography. That's straightforward. So for separating ink from its substance, colors from ink, dyes, and other. Then what about sublimation? Sublimation is a method where one solid changes directly from solid to gas without passing through a liquid state. It is very common for a solid to change to gas through a liquid state, but sublimation is when a solid changes directly to gas without passing a liquid state. We don't have a liquid state. And a very good example here is what when you have ammonium chloride, from sand, then camphor. I tell people, I tell my students, when you have camphor is a solid, but if you put it down after many days, you will probably not see it again. It will be reducing in size, and you'll be smelling. So it's not passing through any liquid state. The camphor is discharging, but can converting directly from solid to gas, but it's not passing any liquid state. So that is what sublimation. Then centrifugation is something popular in clinics for spinning of blood. They are spinning mixture to force heavier particles at the bottom. They are spinning of blood samples, components, cream, and from milk and all that. That one is not so common, but in the hospital or probably industries where they separate cream from milk. And people that go for laboratory tests, they collect the blood sample and they put them inside slide, and they spin them. When they spin them, the clear solution remain at the top, then the heavier one particles stay at the bottom. So that is centrifugation based on spin. They put them in the centrifuge. The material used for spinning there is what? A centrifuge. So that spinning based on the speed, it separates a component from solid into what? To liquid, or clear solution to what? A darker solution at the bottom. So that is about that. That is separation technique. So there are other methods which I'm going to put in the comment section, so you can ask questions, you can check the other ones. So these are the first 14 there. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. See you in our next video.